meeting to order, the Public Safety Committee meeting, and on Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. So we can stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Over here. Where is it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor, would you like to start?
Sure. Mayor Dan Allers.
Dan Blanchett.
Jim Bagoulas.
Don Thomas.
Kieran Farrell.
Heidi Youngworth.
Jim Nickel.
And Jason Freeman.
So I guess at this point, every year we need to go through the committee reorganization process. Currently, I am the chair and Heidi is the vice chair. And we need to, I think we take a vote?
Yes.
What do we do? Take a vote to decide if someone else would like to be chair, or if we proceed as we are right now?
I would like to offer that, since we've had such a time off and everything, for continuity's sake, why don't the two of you continue? I think it would be good for us to at least get started that way.
Okay.
And that's my offer for that.
If you're
Thank
good
you,
with
Jim.
that, I would second that motion.
Help us find our way.
Dan, do you have anything to add? No?
I'm not a voter. I'm just here to answer questions.
No. It's like, no.
Hey, leave me out of this, man.
You're a good consultant, though.
I'm okay with, I would
I'm
still
okay.
like to be the chair, so that's great. And then,
So I think just, if you want to just do a motion and then vote on it, I think
yep,
that's
so
perfect.
make a motion to vote.
I'll make the motion
Okay.
to have Don as president and Heidi as vice president. Is
I'll
that the
second
right
that.
terms?
Okay, and then all those in
Cheers.
favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion stands.
Great.
Public comment. I thought we would have some people here, I'm not gonna lie. I had a couple emails this, in the last couple months, and I even reminded them to please come, so.
Probably frozen.
What's frozen?
Coldest has been in
Their
here.
I know
doors
it
are
has
probably
been cold.
shut.
Cars won't start, and
Yeah,
jumped
cars.
up batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pipes are frozen.
Okay, so let's go on to the approval of
Did you
the,
want,
I think, do we do him now, or do we do him at this reporting?
oh, sorry.
Is that what?
Whichever, yeah, whichever. I think.
Okay. Yeah, we have.
We'll do it at the, after the approval of the minutes. Okay, these are a doozy. Let's do the approval of minutes from over a year and a month ago on September 20th.
I make a motion to approve them.
I second.
But all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the minutes are passed.
Yay.
Okay.
I did chuckle a
I
lot
will
reading
sign them.
them.
We'll sign, I have a thing here and we'll sign them after the meeting. Okay. Let's get the staff reports and updates. We have a new visitor today from Lee County Sheriff. Would you, do you want to introduce yourself again? And then we'd love to hear your update.
So I'm Lieutenant Matt Chitwood, Lee County Sheriff's Office, West District. I work with Captain Layler and with Fort Myers Beach being part of our district. I just wanted to come down and offer one quick update to our current status as it relates to West District and Fort Myers Beach operations, and answer any questions that I can, or get answers to you as soon as I can in reference to your public safety concerns. And obviously, it's been a year since you met, so we went through quite the transition over the last 12 months, 13 months when it came to how we were policing on Fort Myers Beach. Obviously, we've gotten more back to normal operations, even though it's not quite normal when it comes to our the type of calls for service and such that we are receiving from the beach that we received 14, 15 months ago. But overall, we've adapted very well. We've got, we're adapted to what we need to be doing right now with the beach and focusing on what we need to be focusing when it comes to calls for service. Obviously, that's been, we've had less of certain type of calls and more of other type of calls just because of the change in the dynamics down here since the storm. But overall, at this point moving forward, we're, starting to look out and look at things and events that may be coming up as you guys start trying to get back more to your more normal operations, so anything, I know there's a close relationship with the captain and the council, so they keep him advised, and we are continuing to plan for some of those events that may be coming up in the near future. So outside of that, I don't have anything specific to add, but there's no specific operations that are in place. But if you had any questions, either, I don't know, whenever you feel appropriate to ask, and I'll do what I can to offer my.
I have a quick question. How many
Yes.
officers do we have on the beach, like daily or
So
nightly?
you have, well, there's, the beach has 2 zones.
Uh-huh.
So there's a deputy in each one of those zones, but we also have other assignments that come through the beach. There's a supervisor for West District, there's traffic enforcement officers, there's undercover officers. So as far as zones, there's 2 zones down here on the beach, and we were talking about that last week. It's like they're some of our smallest zones in the entire county. So when you talk about like deputies per person in the county, you guys, even though it's only 2 zones, you have a better ratio really when it comes to population size and zone size. So
What are the zones?
what is a zone? What do you mean by
Like, what section is it?
So
Is
it's,
it like San Carlos Island and then on the
no,
island?
it's
Or?
basically- north
basically
and
it's
south.
like the north and south.
Okay.
Yeah. North end of the island is zone 4, and south end of the island is zone 5.
So I was wondering, obviously, I don't think anybody knows what's gonna be happening at season. Have you and the department started discussing how we're gonna handle if there is an influx of people? This is my personal opinion, but it seems now that our days are going to be very busy with guests because we have a lack of hotels and places for people to stay late night. So it seems to be when season hits, and we're starting to see a little bit of that now. We're gonna have more people during the day here influxing on the beach, more traffic, and then maybe at sunset, a lot of them are gonna head out of Dodge and not be on the island and quiet. Have you guys talked about what you're anticipating, any feelings you're having? Are you gonna, do you think you're gonna have people situated at the crosswalk by Times Square? Do you think there's gonna be a large swing? Are you gonna be monitoring it each week because it's gonna change so much?
So we have discussed this situation, and we have talked about, it's a constant process, not just for this section of our district, but
Right.
other sections as well. But we've seen similar type situations with Sanibel, with a lot of traffic moving on and off, so it's something that we can adapt to.
Okay.
We have a pretty good level of flexibility because we have extra units and people that we can call on, like our traffic unit. We can pull in extra civilians that do traffic enforcement or help with traffic intersections. So it is something that we've looked at, and we're historically, San Carlos, can get backed up throughout the
Right.
year during certain events. So it's something that our deputies and our patrol sergeants are always monitoring for traffic situations, and I know the sheriff has told all of us that, we need to make sure we're watching, especially post Ian with the traffic situation. We're monitoring these traffic situations throughout not only the county, but specifically for us, for the district, and we know where our backups occur. And obviously San Carlos has always been one of them, so we're constantly watching it. And we have a plan in place, which is, maneuvering, and, we'll even take over intersections to push traffic longer one direction than it would normally, maybe light flow, or if there is no light, to get traffic on and off the island, or in and out of any area where we have an issue. I mean, we've done it several times in the last 6 months where, just to get traffic flowing and the Cape Coral traffic coming over into Fort Myers during rush hour in the morning, it gets pretty bad, and if you have a little jam in any of those arteries, it can push Cape Coral traffic way back. So we've done things like taking over intersections and just opening them up and closing down side streets just to get it to flow. So those are kind of standard day-to-day practices that we're looking at.
Monitoring.
But obviously, if you see or you have a concern, feel free to reach out to us immediately and let us know, hey, we've seen this as an issue, can you guys address it?
Okay, I have one more thing I've noticed, and this has been going on since the hurricane. We have a lot of workers on the beach who are not normal visitors, and they are going to and from their jobs, and they're hustling. And we didn't have a lot of pedestrians, and now we're starting to have pedestrians go across the pedestrian crosswalks, and nobody is stopping. And I don't know if there's signage, like one of those flashing lights, which is not attractive, but I've witnessed twice, like I slowed down and then someone went around me and just blew through the crosswalk and almost hit somebody because they're not paying attention. So I know that's a learned behavior that we've adapted on this beach to really stop for people as they're walking. And with that, there not being any, I think a lot of people who are working on that have never seen it. And so I'd like to come up with a way that we can bring notice to that, especially when more people now are gonna be here and the hotels do start filling up for season.
I concur with you 110%. I think we should probably have a couple of signs that are lighted signs up and down Estero Boulevard that just basically says stop for pedestrians
Yeah.
in crosswalks, because people are coming, well, number one, the workers do not know.
They don't know.
They're coming, many of them are from Texas, and in Texas they just go.
Right.
So-
So I don't know if that's something we can look into. I do think that, especially when Margaritaville opens, or if that place is full, they're gonna be going, I know they have the crosswalk, but still there's people gonna be walking, and I wanna make sure that, the drivers are paying attention, because I'm watching people do U-E's and do crazy stuff, because there's not a lot of traffic runners, and you can get away with it and do all that. But once we start filling up, I think it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I've had experience personally myself crossing at Dakota Avenue, Beach Access 16. People aren't stopping.
Right, right. And you have the looky-loos are still here, they're coming up, so
Right.
if we could look into something like that, I don't know what steps if they could do, but just even to start retraining people who are here constantly.
The sad part is it's common sense, and
Yeah.
people are using.
But you know what?
Well,
I mean,
in a lot of
I can't
states, you don't
blame
have to
them. They don't
stop
have
for
to stop.
pedestrians in
No,
crosswalks.
they just,
No.
I mean, I
The
get it,
pedestrian
I'm not.
crosses at their own risk
Yeah, okay.
between traffic as opposed to.
And a
the
lot of
cars
them aren't
having
even
an
crossing at
obligation.
the crosswalks anymore. They're just, I did this to this morning, there was 5 workers and there's, and the sun's in my eyes, and I hurried and slowed down, but if you're not paying attention,
Yeah.
so.
That's only going to be exacerbated, I think,
Yeah,
as
yeah, as the
things.
snow, everybody starts coming in and come to the beach.
If you remember, I think one of the meetings last year, there was a discussion about identifying the most dangerous or the most used crosswalks that we could go to the county with and say, they've told us that they don't want to put one at every single stoplight because it can create
The little
whatever
flashing
it is.
rings, yes.
So I don't think that's going to happen, but I think if we could get back to that and identify the ones that we notice are the most used, then maybe that's something we can go and address it with the county. I know we've talked about Linnell down there. That's-
Right.
And we've gotten an email from her already.
Okay, so,
That's where they're at.
yeah, so I've been in contact with Commissioner Sandelli about it, so
Thank
it's
you.
on their radar again. We could also maybe look at putting signs at the entrance of each end of the island to say, stop for pedestrians and crosswalks.
Yeah.
Something we can do on our end to be
Right.
proactive to try
I
to.
think it would really
Yeah,
help,
that's kind of what I was thinking, they're coming on and see it, so.
particularly as season begins. And I'm like you, I have very strong concerns that traffic is going to be insane because people don't have a place to stay on the island.
And they're gonna
So we
drive
always
over.
have heavy traffic coming on the island, what we call day visitors.
Yeah,
And we always have had a lot of day visitors. That's practically all we're going to have now.
exactly,
And they're going to come
to the beach.
to the beach because that's why they come to Florida.
And I am noticing they're coming to different parts of the beach now. They're not always using the north end. The south end, there's more people who are, hanging out on the beaches along the whole corridor.
Right.
So we're gonna see it everywhere.
Yeah, they're spreading out. You notice it on the weekend. This weekend was very busy with
Yes.
cars and driving on people's private properties and things like that. So
Yeah,
they're coming.
they're going to come.
Right.
We're all a little terrified, but they're coming.
Well, that's about kind of most of our stuff anyway. That's where most of the safety is gonna start coming into. Anything else for Lieutenant Chitwood?
No, I think you covered it.
Sometimes they stay. It's up to you if you want to stay or not. I just wanted to kind of throw all that at you while you were here.
Yeah,
I'll say,
I just had one bill, we had talked about this a year ago. There was some type of monitoring systems that, you guys were talking about putting on the bridges to then take pictures of license plates so you can track who's coming on the beach, coming off the beach. That might have been pushed off.
Yeah, we do have those up, actually.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah, in coordination with, I believe your system actually gets the data information, but yeah, there's some at both bridges and then in the downtown district too, so.
Excellent.
And they work.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard the story, but they have them over in Sanibel. And we were going, my daughter and I and Megan, my wife, we were going over to Sanibel, and it read our license plate and it came up as stolen.
Your plate?
Yeah, and they were looking, it was right
You've been
after-
outed.
and they were looking for us. So we went up and had lunch at Monkey Duck, and we're on our way back. And the Sanibel Police Department they were excellent. They were coming the other direction, and they turned around, pulled us over. Long story longer, what they had figured out, they say they checked it and realized it was our vehicle. But what had happened is people were going around after the storm, stealing cars and then taking the stolen license plates and putting them and stealing them off of other people's cars. So someone had did that. So ours was registered to a white Lexus. So, but it's an inconvenience because they take your license plate and now you can't drive without a license plate. So it was a mess.
That's an inconvenience.
Yeah, but those things work.
That's great.
They can't, I don't know how they do it, but when they read it, it comes up on their system on their end that it's either a stolen vehicle and they're on you quick.
I remember that.
Yep, so we've been in coordination with the company, Flock Safety, so they were doing some repairs, so I'll double check, make sure all 6 are up and running, and then we'll coordinate with the Sheriff's Office, make sure it's all synced up, but council actually just approved a 5-year agreement with them just to continue those services for a discounted rate, so.
We have 6 of those?
We do 6 total, so.
They lead to a lot of solved crime.
Did they capture one in, like once and once when it comes over in Ohio where I worked?
There's different systems that do different things. So that is an option for certain ones, but not all of them.
Not all, okay.
All right, anything else? All right.
Maybe do you want to touch on the community policing? I know there's been
Yes.
some talk. I've had conversations with Captain Layler about it.
Okay.
But it's in the works, but I don't know if there's any more information that you can share with the
So
group.
we had a meeting either last week or the week prior. It did come up with our command staff, and our command staff is in the process of reviewing what they want to do with it, and that's as far as the information that I have. So it's in the hands of our command staff at this point, and I'm sure they'll be contacting you or the town here shortly, or when they get to that part.
So we're looking at, we all agreed that we wanted community police, and that's what our recommendation was to town council. So now, are you saying you guys said yes, we want to do it, or you're researching it now and costing with them?
No, so we don't know what the cost is. It might have, when we actually approved it in last year's fiscal year budget.
Okay.
And then obviously the storm hit 2 weeks later, a week later, so it didn't get implemented. We kept it in this year's budget, so it's still there. The
Awesome.
funding for it is still there. It's just a matter of the resources. They have to make sure they have the right resources to cover it, figure out the plan.
Right.
I think it's important that people understand that this doesn't mean it's going to be 2 deputies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
It's going to be when they feel that it's going to be a flexible thing. It's going to be, obviously during season you might see them more, but the process, the point is to get to know your deputies that you have in the area so that people feel comfortable with going to them and saying, I've seen something, or we need help, and I think it'll definitely help. But I think the expectations need to be set that it's not going to be a 24 hours.
We don't have our own little office here.
Right, and it'll be the first 2 deputies, and if it works and things we need more,
Great.
we'll address it again next year. But
I think that's key. I think that's what we talked about, to have somebody here on the island that people can call, and they get the nuances of the island, and they know exactly when we're calling. So this is happening, and they're like, okay. I just think of Andy, like Barney, Andy and Barney fight, like when they had Otis in the jail, like, oh, Otis is drunk again. So you have those things that are the nuances that come up all the time, and so if someone's here all the time, they know, all right, this happens a lot, we'll go deal with that, or whatever.
Do we have a location for this?
well, they have their temporary place down at Red Coconut.
Yeah.
I don't know what the plans are as far as keeping that there.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to talk with Seagate or the department to see what their long-term goal is, but we're always looking at trying to find solutions to implement them into a long-term, maybe the new town hall, maybe something close by. It's just, it's evolving, but I don't think the trailer is going anywhere soon.
That's awesome.
As far as I know.
That's great news. Okay. Anybody else? Good. All right, well, I guess we have, maybe next month we'll get the fire department back in. They've got a lot going on.
Indeed.
Member items. Let's start with you, Jim. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Yes, I would like to talk about street signs. I think the number one and most important thing we can do for the safety of this island right now is to get street signs up for people to know where they're at and where they're going. We are going to have, particularly as traffic goes up, we're going to have more and more assured clear distance accidents where people are looking for a street, they're slowing down, the person that zooms around, or they slow down suddenly because they realize they've reached the street that they're supposed to turn on, and the guy behind them is going to climb in their trunk. So I think it would help people navigating the island substantially if we could get brand new street signs with our beautiful logo on the sign. I'm sure there's something probably already in the mill.
Well, yeah, if you want to take it, JC, you probably know.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, council did award a contract, about, I want to say right before the July break there, and we did add the optional price for the logo, and I think the council consensus was just proceed without the logo for the time being.
I'm so sorry they're doing that.
Well, the cost and the size of the logo, it was,
Right.
you didn't see it anyway, it was so small to fit on the sign.
So, yeah, I'll reach out to that company again. I know that they were working on just doing the final proofs and getting it into production. And then we also did emphasize just that at least if we can get the stop signs back up to start, and then get the town street signs.
Yes.
And then at the very end, working with the county or whoever on the Estero Boulevard connection as well, just for all those connections off of Estero there. So I'll get an update for you all for your next meeting as well. But it is something that contract was awarded to a vendor, and they're just doing the final proofing and production at this point. So.
Who pays for all of the street signs on Estero Boulevard? The town, or the county, or do we share those costs?
Well, I think it comes out of the towns, but it's reimbursable through FEMA. So I think the town pays for it,
Okay.
and then it gets reimbursed. But, the logo, maybe we could look at something doing below the street sign that's on the same pole. But the logo, it was just so small, it was kind of, you couldn't.
Yeah, most of those signs, they put it like at the front end of it,
Yeah.
and then the name of the street. And
It
geez,
just
I
looked
can't
like a
believe that it
white
would.
dot. It didn't-
Really,
you
I
couldn't
can't
really
really
tell.
believe it would cost so much to do.
I think it was, I don't remember, somewhere between $12,000 and $20,000.
Yeah, it was.
Actually,
Yeah, I can get that
Wow.
number for y'all, but
The
yeah.
cost
And that was, I think,
To add the
indicated-
Logo versus no logo is 12, correct?
12 to 20 grand, something like that. I don't remember what the
I
dollar amount
believe
was,
they
but
said
I
it
thought
probably
that
wasn't
seems
reimbursable as well, just because we didn't have them on there originally too, so it would have been.
Yeah, when you saw the proof, it was,
You couldn't see it.
anybody that's ever ordered a business card and you do the logo, or you do the design, you're like, oh, it looks great, and then you get the business card and you can't read anything, because it looks so small.
Yeah.
And that's what
That's-
happened. If you think about people driving, they're gonna go, what is that dot on there? And they're not seeing it, so.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something, a bigger sign could go below it with the logo on it, something. I mean, there's other things that we could do.
Other options.
Yeah.
Huh. We'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, is there a difference in colors?
That's what I was just
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, what color,
Give a
do you
unique
have an
color.
idea what color of street signs you're gonna
I
use?
think it's gonna be the same
Blue,
green.
yeah.
Were they blue or
Yeah, it's
white?
like the blue that matches the Estero Boulevard,
See,
yeah,
that's
the
perfect,
county
yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and those would just be the, Estero Boulevard and then the town street sign itself, kind of that connection there. But then, I mean, yeah, we can always explore different options moving forward too, just something additional on it. And we do have the artistic street sign still up there on all those too, so just kind of working with everybody on figuring out what to do with those as well, how we can incorporate those in, so. But we do want to get the street legal ones up there,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
for
I
everybody
agree.
as
We need
well,
'em.
so.
Yeah.
We need 'em. And stop signs too, there's a lot of
I
stop
got
signs missing.
11 o'clock. I apologize.
Come
Ron,
on, yeah, Ron, yeah, we catch you.
I am so sorry. This is terrible.
You're gonna be right in center. Yeah. Being late.
Well, the best part is you didn't get to hear what we said about you.
That's why I took a half hour. I'm Ron Bennock. Sorry, everybody. I
Hi,
really
Ron.
apologize.
Nice to meet you.
We'll go around the room so we can we'll tell you who we are.
Jim Nickel.
Heidi Enworth.
Kieran Farrell.
Don Thomas.
Jim Bagoulas.
Dan Blanchett.
Okay, nice to meet you guys.
Dan Allergy.
Jason
Turn your-
Two jams, two gems.
There we go. I need this way that right now. How are
How
you?
you doing? I'm Lieutenant Chitwood from Lee County Sheriff's Office, West District.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
this is where we're at member items right now. We've gone through all of this. We approved the minutes. We had Lieutenant Chitwood gave us an update on what's going on, and we're just discussing now. We're going around everybody's commentary of things they want to talk about, and if you want to gather yourself, I can come back to you. But for example, Jim just brought up, we'd like to get our street signs back up for people as
quick
season
as
starts.
possible, yeah.
We talked about notifying, working with Lee County Sheriff to put signage up for, we have so many workers on this island as they're buzzing through. They're not stopping at crosswalks. They're just not used to that. And so making a note of that as we get to season, because there's gonna be a lot of people walking.
Right.
And to update, they've already ordered the signs. Signs should be coming. We haven't figured out what we're doing for the notification, and that's where we're at.
Terrific.
That was a quick one.
All right.
Jim, anything else?
No, that's just good, so everybody, I'm sure, has got ideas.
Okay.
On the street sign thing, is it a whole another issue to put like the numbering? Like if you, below the street sign, you'd have 4,000, like this is the 4,000 block or the 3,000 block, or to indicate how far, like people looking for numbers.
The mile marker type of thing.
Yeah,
but
kind of
just
sort
for
of,
addresses.
but, you know, whatever Connecticut would be 3,500 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to
I
look
think
at
something.
that can add underneath it, maybe a white sign or something that has the
And
numbers.
just
Well, maybe
so
that's
people
where the
know
logo
how far
comes
north.
from, periodically.
Yeah, and those should be a little bit easier to do after the fact too, you know?
Yeah.
Just adding an additional something on there. So definitely look into it.
That'd actually work on the post. If
Yeah.
you had a post and you wrote it up the side.
I like that. That's a good
Anyway.
idea.
Okay.
It's
Heidi?
just the signs are in production.
They are in production. Yeah. We're not changing them then.
You're not getting the logo, Jim. You're not getting the logo, Jim. Pipe down.
They're not in production. I mean, they're in production. It's too late.
Get them out there.
I guess my question is for, I'm gonna ask Dan, like, does the council have items that they want us to specifically focus on?
Yeah.
I mean, because what we had focused on before is out the window.
Correct.
I mean, do you guys have items that you want us to research, work on, that kind of stuff?
Well, I don't, we haven't had a chance to really discuss specific items. Obviously, community policing was one. Another one that we haven't really talked about, but is starting to come up, is the sidewalks. You know, if we can get a list of areas, there's a really good app out there. I just haven't had time to do it, and I was gonna ask staff to do it, but maybe this is something as a committee we could do. There's a nice app out there, Chad Schutz uses it, that gives you the exact coordinates of things, like when he's going out to look at stuff on the beach. That if we could find, you know, whether it's a curb that's cracked and needs fixed, I know there's some sidewalk sections that are missing, getting coordinates where those are. I've been giving them as I find them to Commissioner Sandelli, and he's been getting the crew out here to fix those.
Okay.
So I think before season, if we could get that addressed, would be pretty important. That's the top one, those are the top two that I could think of. Obviously, some sort of messaging, if we could come up with some sort of messaging for people who are illegally parking on property, safety issues as far as going on properties that still have debris that
Yeah.
hasn't been cleaned up. You know, it's kind of a public awareness thing. If you're gonna come down, especially during season, there's still a lot of disaster laying around that hasn't been cleaned up, so, be smart, I guess, is something that we could put out as a, you know, just saw it in an advertisement for the other day when there was, back when the Regans were in, she's like, just say no. Something that we can come up with that we can put out through social media and through the town's website that, you know, think before you act type of thing. You know what I'm talking about? Something that we can, is catchy, that makes people aware or think twice. You know, bad people are gonna do bad things, but makes people think twice about parking on someone's property or cutting through someone's property because there's still a building there or something like that. I think, but I'll bring it up at our next meeting to see if we can get a list of things that other council members maybe thought. And at the next meeting, I'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
Part of the signage is parking, no parking signs. Is that part of that vendor deal?
Not for the town street signs themselves, but we can always look at replacing some of those, you know, no parking in the right of ways, that sort of thing with it. So it's there's a town glass out there, and there is, if you notice, coming on both sides of the bridge, there'll be a sign with like red and white lettering, I believe it is. And I'll just explain that, you know, no parking in any of those public right of ways or blocking streets, that sort of thing. But I believe, yeah, we'll look back in all of our records and try and make sure we get everything up that we can. But just like the mayor said, with Estero Boulevard, we just got to coordinate with Lee County on those ones.
Yeah, and they, like I said, they've been very good. It's just a matter of getting them a list of here's all the areas that are, the sidewalks are broken or the, you know, the curb is broken, something that we can get to them. So when they come down, they can do it in a day or two when they're done. They've been pretty good about fixing sections of sidewalks that we've sent to them, but just not enough time in the day to go take pictures of every single one by myself. So.
Right. So do we want to like maybe break up
Yeah.
a section of the island and assign a section to everyone and kind of
Yeah.
do that?
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer?
I mean, there's almost enough people to do 1,000 block per person.
Right.
I can do the north end. I mean, I can do the,
I can do down near Santini.
I'm at Sterling Avenue.
Maybe if we had up the map and we could just.
I'll pull up a map. We'll,
Should we,
So I know my numbers, we're 5,700 south, so
okay.
I go from south of the church north to Dakota. That'd be Flamingo to Dakota.
Yeah, we'll just,
How's
Why
that?
don't, what I'll do is I believe I still have my map
okay.
of the island, and I'll kind of like take chunks of it, and then
Okay.
we can just kind
That's
of
awesome.
choose at our next meeting, like who wants what.
Okay.
Or
We can email it to Jason.
Yeah, and he
I can get it out to everybody. Sure.
And then we'll just
Okay.
make and see where we're at.
Okay.
And maybe we can try to have everybody go through by the next meeting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if we can.
Because
I'll
I
get
would
on
like to
that.
have it done before, I mean,
Yeah, the
I'd like to
sooner
get
you-
it before season because.
Yeah, the
it's-
sooner you get it to me, the sooner I can get it to the commissioner
Okay.
to address it.
Okay, so I'll get that to Jason, and then he can get it out, and we can
Okay.
each kind of split up a chunk.
Perfect.
So you're on the south. You're by Dakota. You're by Dakota.
Publix.
Publix.
area.
Okay.
North.
North. You're on the south. end.
CVS Santini.
The unwashed off the island.
Same thing.
So you get last bid?
You get,
We'll take the last bit because we gotta drive anywhere we gotta go, Karen. Okay.
You're down by Lover's Key.
you guys could take, if I do the Estero, you guys could do the, like the little the downtown area. You know, the little side
Isn't
streets.
that?
Is that, or
Well,
we only do Estero?
Just Estero.
Okay,
Yeah, I was
okay,
gonna
okay.
say.
Public Works has been going around and
Okay.
taking care of
All
our
this other.
downtown area.
Okay, got it.
And then can you email us the app for the
yeah, it's
coordinates so we
actually,
can?
I think I have it on my phone as well. The one that we use Public Works wise is called
And when you take a picture, it automatically captures the coordinates and everything, so.
Timestamp.
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 Okay.
So it can actually give you, like the mayor said, the latitude, longitude, and the exact coordinates of exactly where you're at, what time you took it. So we've been
Okay.
using that a lot for all the FEMA documentation for everything. So
And it'll help them because then when we send them the pictures, they can use that for their FEMA reimbursement as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Anything else, Heidi?
No, I think we add the like a catchy phrase. See if everyone kind of thinks of something. We'll add that to our agenda,
Okay.
and then like a message that kind of about parking on private prop. I think we'll put that on our agenda so that we can come up with something to for that. I think that's it.
Sorry. Just have these catchy phrases going in my head.
I knew that'd pique your interest.
I know, I'm like,
She's going to work.
I know.
I don't really have any member items. This is my first public safety committee meeting, so I'm just kind of taking it all in. And my greater concern in signing up for this was all the crazy people who just think they can cross the street at any point, anywhere between Times Square and probably like Carolina or farther south. Just people crossing willy-nilly scares the bejeebers out of me. So
Without looking.
clearly, or expecting that everybody's simply going to stop
Stop,
because you
yes.
stepped off the curb. That scares me. So that's it.
One thing that I've always noticed, and I know that it has been brought up in the past and things, is now that we have Estero done with the bike lanes, bikes, like going with the flow of traffic in their lanes and not like going north on the sidewalk. Because as cars pull out, they're not expecting a car or a bicycle to be on the sidewalk heading south. So they're looking at the cars and the people and bikes coming from the south heading north, and all of a sudden they head out and here's a bicycle on the sidewalk heading south. And I've seen it lots of times. And what to do about it,
So
that's
pre-Ian, we had signs that said wrong way. There were correct? Yeah, we had signs like
Go with the flow. of
go with the
traffic.
flow of traffic, you're going the wrong way or whatever,
Yeah.
but my opinion, they were like this big.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
and-
were hard to see.
I wonder how that, on the north end where they painted the green bicycles and then in front of, right here in front of the church, they have a green, I wonder if that helps a lot, letting people know, hey, this is a way to go.
Well, the north of Sarah was ours, so we were able to do that. They did do the one in front of the church as a study to, I think it's the green for the bike and then the red was for the bus stop.
Yep.
That was their study.
Yeah.
And then obviously the hurricane hit, so we have to revisit that with them to see if they can. It sounds like they're willing to maybe do it at the turnouts like that, but not all the way down. Again, it's the FDOT thing where it can create eye fatigue, and people get numb to it. But we were making some headway with it before the
Yeah,
storm.
I think
it does help.
even
Yeah.
if it's at just turnouts, I think that would help a lot. And, you'd see it every once in a while. So
It's a reminder.
a reminder,
Right.
yeah. But I noticed that's one of the big things I've noticed. I'll keep collecting my thoughts.
In some areas, you'll notice if you go down to Naples, there are some areas where that bike lane is solid green. I mean, the entire length of the bike lane, but that, again, people get numb to it.
Yeah.
So it's, we're working with the county on it to see if we could pick that back up, but there's a lot of eggs in the frying pan right
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
So it's gonna be high on their priority list, but
Absolutely.
we can, it's low hanging fruit we can drop and see if we can get something done.
Gotcha. All right. That'd be it for me right now.
I had two things, and Dan brought it up a little bit, but the abandoned buildings, I think that I would like to see something. I know a lot of them are waiting for insurance to come through and they don't know what to do, but even down in Old San Carlos or downtown, by Times Square, some of these ones are not really roped off very well. They're wide open, and I would love to see a better job by the owners to fence them off so people do not go in there. I watch people, go in, they peek in, they want to see what's going on, they go inside. I know some of the people, for example, Surf Club, they finally boarded some stuff up so you couldn't walk in there because people were walking in and walking around. I know we're seeing that also. Again, when you're talking about private property with large swaths on the beach, they're going up. Even on the side streets, you've got homes that are still, you could actually live in. I wouldn't say you'd live in it, but someone could try to live in it, and they're in a tent or whatever. I'm trying to use my proper terms, but I'd like to see something that we crack down a little bit on these owners. Okay, I would get that you're waiting for insurance, but you need to protect your property better. A great example is Old Junkanoo. I mean, they've got a ladder up there and people are calling up there to watch the sunset. I mean, it's so easy to get in there. It's a matter of time something bad's gonna happen. And I know that it's on the property owners, it's their property, if something happens there. However, it is something that we really don't need to have that bad publicity on Fort Myers Beach, that these people aren't taking care of business. So that was my first one. My second one that I tried to address, and I'm not sure the right things, and I'm noticing that we have new trailers that are moving in on the island, and like particularly on my street, there was a woman walking around looking for a lost dog, and I said, "Do you need help?" And she said, "I just moved in at the end of the block." And I'm thinking, well, okay. Well, then I walked down the end of the block, and there's two new trailers that have set up shop, and I know they're not the owners of the property. So I feel that I don't know what the steps are for the town to go in and say, you can't rent your property to a trailer, or can you? I don't know what the rules are. I thought they said that you could not rent your property. It's not an Airbnb, but these are, there's 6 people living in a trailer, and it's become this little party cove. We have ones at the end of our street that were workers during the storm that are still there that are not the property owners, so they've set up shop. And I feel that this is gonna happen down the island as, especially season comes, and they're gonna tell, well, I used to make all this money, and I don't know, I don't know if it's a safety issue as more as a, you know, I don't know what the term would be.
I would think it's a zoning issue.
It's a zoning issue,
would
but I
think
wanted
you
to
weren't
bring it
allowed
up
to-
here.
You weren't allowed
because-
probably to put trailers there and rent them out as residents before
Right.
the storm, and I don't think you should be able
No.
to do it after the storm.
But
Yeah, you know, the council before before it was put through by legislation, the council approved 18 months for homeowners to have travel trailers there
Right.
while they're going through the process of rebuilding.
That made sense.
Certainly, and then Senate Bill 250 came out and extended it to 3 years from the date of the storm.
Okay,
So we have to follow that, and we don't know what's gonna happen through legislation this year with that bill. Is it gonna go away? Is it gonna get extended? We aren't sure. But again, it's very specific about homeowners, and it doesn't say anything that I can recall about renting it out.
right,
I'll talk with our staff, and I'll talk with Becky, our attorney, to see what we can do.
yeah,
We can't back up there with a pickup truck and hook up and pull them off the
No.
property, but there's certainly some things we could do with the property owners to let them know that they can't be doing that.
right,
I talked about it a little bit last night. We're also going to have to start talking about, some people are growing concerned that they're seeing more and more businesses being put on the island on trailers
I agree
or
with that.
containers, and there's a fear that people that are trying to build their business back, they're not doing anything to build their business back. So we're gonna have to address that. I don't know if that's gonna be a time frame that you've got till this much time to get into permitting, or, we have to move forward. We can't let containers stay there forever.
Right.
So,
It's so funny, I thought the same thing. I'm like, you need to start building back, right?
I guess my other question is, like, say Jim owns a property and it was a rental house, and I rented from Jim. What are the odds, like, so I can, is it okay for him to allow me to put my camper there and continue to do that because that's where I lived before?
technically, no.
I would say no.
It's the homeowner. Now, I believe the homeowner can have I believe the homeowner can allow the ability for, in that scenario, for that to happen, but you have to be moving forward with building your house, if that makes sense. So if you've got a sign off from the property owner that's okay for you to have a trailer there, I believe you can do it as long as you're going forward with, and maybe that's what's going on, and maybe they're
That's
going
not
through the
what's going on,
planning.
Mike,
I'm just saying, but
Right.
I'm gonna tell you that,
Finding a
that's
place
not
to
what's going
live.
on.
the ability was to people that were here to allow them back in this scenario, just like you're talking about, as long as the property owner is okay with it and they're trying to make steps to move forward to rebuild their property or sell it or do whatever they're going
Right.
to do. But I believe there's a path to be able to do that for people that were living there before.
Okay. I think everything else I brought up earlier, so I think that's all I have.
Cool. So taking a walk down by Wahoo Willie's, there was a pole that had wires coming out of it. It started to make me think, okay, as we have more people coming in, or even residents that see things, if we can maybe communicate more on like how to report it. Because, my eyes, that's great, I have 2 eyes, but the more eyes we have on the island to improve safety and having an easy way to, dial 311 and report it, or take a picture and like your app about, geo tagging it where it is. Could be something that we can think about maybe for future meetings as more people come in, they see things like trip hazards on sidewalks or anything like that, take a picture of it, report it in, and then we can put some action against it. So that was one thing that I was thinking through.
If I could, we do have on our website, I know Jenny was working on it, kind of standardizing different, or we call them requests for action, which go to different departments depending on what the category is. We do have one for Public Works, so that's a first step on that, but I think we can definitely look into other stuff with that as well. But I believe there's one for stormwater and utility concerns and Public Works and public records requests and all of that. So as they kind of continue to update all that, at least it's an initial channel, because I know at least the Public Works ones, that kind of gives us a documentation, gives you a number assigned to us, so you can always check on the status of it. But we'll work on maybe getting some messaging out there too about, especially like with street lights, if you see one of those out, if the town, it's not necessarily our responsibility, how can I reach out to FPL, or how can I submit a concern to, if you see a sewer, with the county or something like that, so.
I think it's
that's also an
educating,
option. Sure.
as more people come in and new people come in.
Sounds good.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a vacant lot next to my property, and the storm opened up a cistern or a former septic tank or whatever.
Sure.
And I wrote a note to the town and to mosquito control and got zip for a response. So,
Yeah, so systems have to work, right?
yeah.
So that was one. The other was, I know during one of the town council meetings, they were talking about emergency response management, and how to do that. And my question back to this committee is, should we be involved in some of that planning for like future hurricanes and stuff like that? Or is there a separate committee that would handle emergency response management?
I think that would fall, personally, I think it would fall within this group. I mean,
That's
that's,
true.
I think it could.
you've got two people that spent a career doing it. So I think it's a good place to start.
Okay.
We could discuss that too at a meeting, and if you have some ideas of how you think, you can ask the council what they feel would be
Right.
appropriate to work with staff to, I mean,
Yeah, so I know typically we try and at least review that annually, so maybe just along with that, we can talk with council and Andy and the manager and everyone and
Yeah.
so we can maybe incorporate that in here, so.
You guys, they had a lot of good ideas of like how do you put signage up or something like that if you're home, not home, and so that after the storms, doors aren't getting broken down or all that type of stuff.
yeah, I think a good starting point would be, we all have ideas or we all have seen things after the storm that we think should have been better. I think starting with that, here's a place where we can improve, here's where we think it should have been done better, here's what we've learned, here's how we can implement it better, here's how we can get messaging out quicker, here's how we can let people know that, how to secure their doors or do what they have to do. I think lessons learned would be a good starting point to be able to implement that into the emergency response plan.
Okay.
That's a good idea, like they do for, we always had the little fire stickers, like for
Yeah.
kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if we could get stickers made that said home, gone, or
Yeah, just
something
you
like
post or something.
to put by your door or just to run through that, and not even a sticker, like tape a piece of paper to your window or
something.
Well, one of
just something.
One of the big things that we heard about from emergency rescue teams was not knowing if someone was actually in the house. And is there a way to track better to know that, Ron, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be on the island. You don't have to worry about searching for me. This is where I'm going. It's got to be voluntary, right? You want, or I'm going to be staying. Here's where I'm going to be at. We had people that were moving to a different house, and people are calling and they're trying to search and find these missing people, but they're going to their house, but they're at another house down the street. So trying to find, and then we all know right after the storm, communication was, there was no communication. The towers were down, everything was going so fast that I think with search and rescue and Lee County Sheriff and the fire department, if they know where to start searching first, they could really cut down on that response time. So something, I don't know how we can implement that, or we can't force people to leave during an event. We certainly will highly push for you to leave, but if you don't, where are you gonna be? Who can we contact? Stuff like that is a voluntary thing that if you don't have to let us know, you can let the Lee County Sheriff's Office know, or you can let the fire department know, this is where we're going to be. I think that would really speed some things up.
Sorry, that goes back to maybe because we had one time talked about like a neighborhood watch, where we could maybe get, see if we can get like a block captain for each street, or, something in that says, yeah, I'll take charge of my street, or like Jim, he'll take charge of his specific condo building, and he knows, who's there, and he can send a message then that says, John was staying in 102, check on him, Bill lives in 105 but was staying in 212, or something like that.
I don't know if people will go to that much thing, but maybe.
It's a lot of
But
detail.
that's a lot of detail, but we could maybe come up with a way twofold. You could have a website that you just say your address, not here, safe, home is secure. And that's all they need to do.
Or the reverse, because
Or
when we evacuate,
staying here.
almost everybody leaves.
Yeah.
There are some people that stay behind.
Right.
I think it's the ones that stay behind we want to be able to
stay.
know where they're
Right.
at. Where they're at.
Exactly.
So either you put a sticker on your door
I was thinking that too.
says I'm there,
Yeah.
or you go to a website like that and say I'm gonna be here.
No
Yeah.
website available.
Well,
Well, you
it'd
do
have to be before the storm.
You gotta do your check,
Yeah,
like
you-
a
yeah, you
checklist
have to-
before the storm. Do you have your hurricane pass? Did you go online to X and tell us if you're staying or not staying? Those two things, that's what we asked you to do, and besides just securing your home. I was also thinking, The only thing I was thinking about is, I don't want it to encourage robbers
Right.
or looters, but
That's
to
gonna
have
be
that.
everybody's first concern.
Exactly, a sticker
That's
on the
why I
door
would
that
not-
says, this home is hurricane secure, which means I'm gone and I'm secure. The other one,
Yeah.
there is no sticker and it means I'm home.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then I go, I don't want people to know I'm not there
Yeah,
either.
exactly, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
well, come in, everyone.
You'd have to market that you're there, I
Yeah,
think.
but you could do something, a website, but that it doesn't inundate people. You know, you have to think about Heidi, they had people staying here that were in Airbnbs. And I don't think the owners paid attention to if the these guests stayed here and we had
Whether they evacuated
and we
or
had
not.
some bad things happen to those people who were staying in the Airbnbs
I think
on
one of the
vacation.
people that was lost was someone who was
Yes.
staying in an Airbnb.
It was, and they decided to write it out, and I can guarantee that they were probably told it's not gonna be a big deal, just hang out. You've never been in a hurricane. Yeah, so,
There's some sort of system that, you know, people that are making the decision to stay can at least alert the rest of
Right.
people that I'm gonna be here, this is where I'm going to be.
yeah.
I mean,
The-
And then it's
The
secure.
people that are gonna
Nobody
be
will know.
involved in that are the fire department. I would think we would wanna consult with those experts as to how, what they would like to see done in a case like this. I'm just off the top of my head based on some experience, but I would think people are gonna be terrified, their house is gonna get broke into. But
But
it's,
that's what I was saying, if it's secure and it goes to an email to a law enforcement agency or to the fire department.
right, that would be
that-
the best
That
option.
it's a program that prints out or have somebody.
Anybody that's staying needs to notify the town they're staying, or they used to notify the fire district that they're staying. Because eventually, if they have to come through and search like we did this time, it's helpful to have some idea. And I like the idea of them putting in some kind of a red card or something.
Yeah.
If they're home, put the card in the window. And then when they come along, they're gonna make sure, they're gonna break into that place. That's what it amounts to. If you put the red card on in the window and your doors are locked and they holler and they don't get any, they're gonna go in because you've indicated I stayed.
assuming the house survived. It's
Yeah.
the ones that stayed in the houses, if the house was down, there's no front door.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that there's
Yeah.
someone probably in that rubble they gotta find, you know, that's a good starting point.
Yeah, if you go up to a pile of rubble and you can see the red card is there or the red sticker was on the door that's laying down, you're right. You're gonna search that pile of rubble more carefully.
So, I guess what it sounds like we have some interest in this area.
I think so, yeah.
I don't mind taking the lead and maybe brainstorming some ideas, talk about the fire department and others, if anyone wants to join me on that. Just bring back to the next committee, just some ideas of what we can consider.
That's great,
Great.
love it.
And the last was about beach safety too. As you know, we've talked, you see it on the news, like, oh, someone hurt them, they stepped on a rusty nail and stuff like that. I didn't know if that was something that, you know, we have to monitor or be careful of, I guess, or have any actions about beach safety with nails, glass, and all that other stuff as more guests start to come in on the island.
Again, a more proactive approach. If we had the time, the money, and the capacity, it would have been to put up temporary signage at entrances to the beach that said, be careful, the beach is littered with
Wear your shoes.
debris, wear
If
shoes.
you get a cut, you should go to a
Yes, go
doctor.
to a doctor right away. I mean,
Maybe
just,
that's something we
just
can
a
do.
little,
Yeah.
Just
some kind-
signage at the beach says, wear your
right,
shoes.
right after the storm is over, you know, and particularly if it's a good one like this.
And some sort of campaign that we could keep running through our social media sites that,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
especially during season every week, put it back
Reinforcing.
out, just keep pushing it that, you know, wear your shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you see it, pick it up. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
I like that.
you know, just,
Or let somebody know, yeah.
yeah.
Some of these things that we found out that look that they're this big, and then as you start pulling it from
Yeah.
the sand, it's the size of the table. You know, it's just how it's.
Or the money cache that they thought was, you know,
Yeah.
full of money, which reminded me of Geraldo Rivera when he went into
Yeah,
the,
that's,
into,
we're gonna have a
what's
while
his name's
of
vault.
watching things still
Capone's.
wash up on the beaches
Yeah.
as storms come through, but shoes are important.
They are.
It'd be a good thing for our retailers to carry
Beach shoes.
beach shoes, like water shoes.
Okay, that was it for me.
Yeah.
I think everything's been said, you know, my big thing was the safety of properties and stuff like that. And whether, you know, there was enough being done to get the homeowners to take care of their property. Like my neighbor's property. You know, God forbid if the house on the other side of the property from me caught fire and the fire department was down there trying to put it out, and one of the firemen fell in the hole.
Well, I don't know if you know, most people are aware now that we're sending out letters that, to people who have, it's been a year, they haven't done anything with their property, to, you know, let us know where you're at, try to come through to get a permit. Some people are replying, some are getting permits, some are taking action right away, and some are just not replying at all. So it's a step legally we have to go through to be able to start really doing any kind of heavy enforcement to go in and clean. There is a path that we can get to where we can go in and clean up that property, and then it goes against the homeowner. But you have to go through steps to be able to do that.
I was going to ask you that, what that
For what
was.
it's worth, I haven't heard any negative comments about this town taking action to clean up.
No,
I've only heard
except for those
those
that
that
received
clean
a
up.
letter.
Correct.
Isn't
But
the
in
dead-
general, I would
Isn't the
say.
deadline end of October for
Yeah.
them to get back to you to say either you have a permit or you're,
Well, you're doing
Or
something.
you're doing something.
Yeah, and the town staff is keeping a, I don't think it necessarily
Yeah,
falls
it's
on
not-
Jason's,
but I know
but
someone is,
they're, as they're getting stuff back, there's a spreadsheet that they're keeping that's saying this person replied, this is where they're at. They've already got a permit since the letter went out, here's the permit number, so they're keeping a spreadsheet of who's doing what, and where they're at in the process, and that's the first step, and then I think you have to do one more letter, and then after that, you can start taking action
okay.
to clean the properties up for them. It'll be at the town's expense, but then it gets leaned against the property.
How do you handle the ones that say, like, I'm gonna use the two downtown that are right on the corner that the wall's falling and one was caught on fire before the storm, that looks like nothing's being done. And let's say they say, I'm waiting for insurance. How do you, is there a timeline on insurance that people say after X amount of years, I don't care if you haven't heard from insurance, you need to
Well,
clean this up?
I think the important thing of that is whether you're waiting for insurance at this point or not is very important, but it's irrelevant to you securing your property.
Exactly.
You can still put a fence up around your property, you can still secure your pool, you can still secure, you can still mow your grass.
Yeah.
You can still do things to keep your property as safe as possible while you're going through that. And then that's what we're trying to promote. We're trying to promote that, do something to at least protect your property for the town's sake, but it's also for your sake. I mean, you're the property owner, someone comes through your property and gets hurt, and you didn't do anything.
Right.
The world we live in, it may be a very expensive lesson for you. So that's what we're trying to promote. We understand that people are in the insurance process and it's moving slow or not at all in some cases, but it doesn't mean you can't take care of your property.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything to add today?
No, I think we've covered most of it. I will say that, we've got a really good working relationship with the Lee County Sheriff's Office and the fire district. I think it's better, in my opinion, than it's been since I've been involved in council. We've got a really good collaborative back and forth talking what's in the best interest of the community. So it's really nice to know that we have partners now to be able to, hopefully if we ever have to deal with this again, we have a good plan going forward. It can always get better with input, but I think the public needs to know that we're in really good shape with the three entities communicating. We've got good state partners that are helping us get things done. I'll be up tomorrow begging for money again. So that's about it for me.
Update, I know you guys are working on it, the turtle lights, we know that's a done, we've got
Yeah.
a done deal, thank God.
So
But just
we've got the
give us a little
contract from FPL. It will be a town-owned solution with a 10-year maintenance agreement with FPL. They will put up new poles. They won't be those big concrete ones, but they will be more of if you know where the 7-Eleven is on Pine Ridge Road, across the street from that, there is a pole that you can see that's similar to the ones that they're going to use. It's a lower pole, kind of comes over the road, that will be used for the lighting. All the electric will be underground. The side streets are included, so it's an island-wide.
Wonderful.
So we got the contract from them, we got the appropriations from the state to cover almost all of it, but I think 100,000 somewhere in there, give or take. So it was allocated to the county. The county, through their letter, has to give it to us. So as soon as they receive the funds, they'll get them to us, then we can sign the contract. If we can get that done, hopefully before the end of the month, they've told us that they're gonna start with the Times Square area to try to get that done before the end of the year, and they expect about a year to complete the entire project once they start.
That's fantastic.
So
Great.
it sounds like we're finally getting that across the finish line after how many years?
Oh my God.
7 or so.
Yeah, so the photometric studies have been
Who's
done.
counting?
They're working with the county, who's still taking care of the crosswalks. So they're integrating the county's plan as well as our plan into one plan. It'll be 2 separate permits, but it'll still be done at the same time.
Awesome. Are they gonna do like Estero first? And then the
Yes,
side
they'll do
streets?
Estero
Okay.
first, but they're gonna start on Old San Carlos and through Times
Right.
Square. The issue is, once they get the contract, they gotta order the poles, and the poles are what are the backlog right now. So they'll order the poles right away, but they have the decorative lights. You would think it was you that was talking about the poles.
Oh,
Staff, we're talking about how can we, do we wanna replace those poles? Do we wanna put different poles? What can we do through FEMA to get reimbursed, obviously, for those poles? But that's where they're gonna start, and hopefully, all things go well, we'll have lights before New Year's Eve. in that area. But we do have temporary solar lights that they're putting up, that are up now, they're putting more up, so it's not completely dark. We should be receiving the Bayside Park lights, I would think if they're not here, they're gonna be here
Yeah,
shortly.
they're in production at least, so it's
So
just like.
they'll be, to be able to replace the lights that were there, as well as the uplights, so that'll certainly help that corner down there, but we've made it known to FPL that that is our top priority, is to get that Times Square area, because it is extremely dark at night.
Yeah.
So we're doing what we can as a town to put up you don't wanna go crazy spending a lot of money on something that's gonna get replaced, so we're trying to get the best solution out there we can with these temporary solar lights, to at least make it workable.
Okay, great. I had one more thing that I did forget. In the canals, I know one in particular, there are still abandoned boats. Whose responsibility is that? Is that the boat owner? How do we handle, or is it because it's in the water? It's, I don't know.
Well, you have to identify it, and I know that Director Guthrie's been working on trying to change the legislation, because it was, some of the holdup and the reason it was taking so long to get some of these boats is once you identify the boat owner, you have to allow them 45 days to take care of it by themselves. If they don't, then you can go in and you can start doing it. So he's working at trying to get that legislation changed so that that time frame is much shorter. Specifically, as far as if it's in the water, we just approved yesterday to go out and do some side scanning to be able to figure out, so we know where everything is in the canal. Then it's gonna have to get picked up, who it falls on. Maybe there's a path that if you can figure out who owns the boat, you can charge.
I just didn't know if it, like, it's been a year and a month, or, a year and a couple of weeks, and there's I think it's on Crescent, that canal, right behind Crescent, there's a huge sailboat just tipped over in the middle, right up in the middle of the canal. And,
Yeah, it's, the canals are very touchy because the town didn't have a plan in place for canal dredging or canal cleaning or things like that. So we have no reimbursement from FEMA to be able to do that. So we're working with consultants to try to figure out how we're gonna pay for it. I believe it was 46 million was an estimate we got to dredge the canals, clean the canals, so it's not gonna be cheap. Trying to find grants to make, get it paid for. But the side scanning and figuring out where everything is and what exactly everything is, so that you can put a plan together to start cleaning it out, is kind of where we're at now. Now that the state has gone through and they've done their first, or their cleanup and got everything out that they can. I don't know if you've seen the barges going up and down the island, but they're always picking stuff up out of the canal.
right, I knew that. I know they're fewer and far between now just because, but I get their stuff underneath. I mean, I think we still have a refrigerator right in front of our dock that's really, you can't see it unless it's super low tide. And I can never see it. It's all only people from the other side. But that's just the sailboat that throws me off every time. I'm like, that thing is huge, and it's sitting right in the middle of the canal, tipped over with the mast going.
Is it still on the dock? I would
No,
think if it's.
I don't think it's on the dock. I can't see a dock.
Good question.
Come over to my house, I'll show you. You can see it from my deck. Okay, that's it.
That's all I got.
Okay, last question. Is it, in the past, have property owners paid for the dredging of those canals, ever?
Yeah, some canals, property owners have gotten together and raised the funds to do the dredging themselves. So we're looking at how can we try to get a plan in place to do a continual dredging. It's gonna be very expensive, but we're at the beginning stages of trying to, we're asking, it's one of our appropriation requests is to ask for help to get that program started.
Because if a program is in place in a future event, FEMA would then
Yes.
support us to continue that program.
Yes.
But without a program in place, it's like adding a new adventure and they're not taking on new adventures.
Yeah, my understanding is, I think it was in 2004-ish, somewhere along there was talks about putting together a plan similar to like what Sanibel has for canal dredging, and each canal owner pays a percentage of that, and then the town takes care of the canals. They dredge it out every year. Charlie came and obviously halted that and never got picked up again and ran with it. So now that we got hit with Ian, there was no plan in place. So there's no FEMA reimbursable money there for us to get. So
That's really unfortunate.
it is. I mean, it's you know, one thing I've learned is after this, and I'm guessing it was probably the same after Charlie, your focus becomes so much on trying to rebuild and trying to fix things and trying to build back stronger that you don't, some of the things fall through the cracks. And that's where committees like this come in very handy, to more minds help figure out more problems or solutions to more problems. So
Right.
it's a program that we're very aggressively trying to get started again, whatever that program looks like, so that if we ever have to go through this again, we have something in place to say, this is what we've been doing to maintain it, this is how much we've been spending, here's what it's gonna cost, then they come in and help us.
In keeping with that, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, if you had property that backed up to a canal, do you add taxes to that property for canal maintenance, basically, as that would go to the town, for the town to continue? I mean, is that an option? Is that legal? I mean,
Yeah, I couldn't answer that.
I mean, in a lot of places, if you have amenities that are adjacent or part of your property, it would seem like you're responsible to keep, to pay for the amenity.
Yeah, and
If you don't, you don't. But
I
if you do,
think
you
once
do.
we get hard numbers and figure out what that program could look like and what it would cost, obviously it goes to the homeowners and people will, they won't. But people that live on a canal now certainly know that it's a very important thing, that if you don't keep up on it, your boat ain't leaving that lift, if you're lucky enough for your boat to survive.
The agenda, I think we've got a few things that we've talked about. We're going to send out the email, the sidewalks. We're going to look at maybe some safety ideas for people, for public debris, maybe some catchphrases, some things that we can help, some education, some things to Jenny or help her if she needs anything. Also another catchy phrase about, no parking on private property. And then Jim's gonna take the lead on the emergency response ideas and start working on that. And I think that's all that I have at this point. We'll, I'll put on there, keep our fingers on the pulse of biking and what's going on, as I think as the visitors start to come and our island becomes busier, we might see some more things that are gonna pop up, so we can talk about, what we're seeing on the bike paths, and if we can go back to Lee County about, putting the green back on as the testing. And, and the other thing is just get an update maybe from Lee County Sheriff on what we're seeing, if there's any signage we can put regarding slowing for crosswalks on our island. We're a crosswalk-friendly island.
Great.
Next meeting.
Next meeting is,
So do you want to meet in, I think November, it's probably the week before
Yeah, it's like
Thanksgiving?
2 days before Thanksgiving.
21st.
Could we push it after Thanksgiving, the week after?
Yeah, if we want to find maybe propose like 1 or 2 days, and I can work with the clerk's office and see, that would maybe free up that Thanksgiving week for you. Let me triple check.
So it's like Tuesday.
I'm free.
Thanksgiving.
The 23rd is Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Yeah.
22nd is my birthday. Okay,
So the
I'm trying the 23rd, I mean the 28th.
Yeah, 28th.
Everybody else?
9 a.m.?
I think that works.
9 a.m.
11 for you.
We'll send you a reminder.
Oh, yeah, I know what I was looking at.
So the 28th?
28th, does that work for?
Yeah, it does.
And then just while I have everybody here, just annual reminder on, if you're not familiar with like the sunshine laws or public record laws, just highly recommend reaching out to the clerk's office. They can kind of get you accommodated, all that. I believe you should have gotten an email from either Eva or Amy Baker, just a reminder on that. Welcome to the sunshine. And if you have any information, just highly encourage you to go through, discuss in the public meetings and not individually, email each other, just to make sure we're following all that. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. I think everybody should have my email and my phone number at this point, but yeah, here to help you all, so.
Good.
Just as a understanding of that.
Sure.
And so if I'm gonna ask for information, say ideas for the, signage for, should I send it to Ava or Amy and then they distribute?
You could,
say-
if it's something before, I think the next public meeting, then
Yeah.
that's the best route to go, is through the
So-
town, and then that way it kind of goes
Then it
out.
goes
Same
out
thing they
to
do
you
for
guys and
council.
say, hey, do you have any ideas that would
Sure,
work?
yeah, and then that way just prevents all that. You'll notice, we always, just whenever we send emails out, you'll see I'll BCC everybody on there, just so that kind of helps with that too, so. Just make sure we're in compliance with everything, so. But if you ever have any questions at all, just feel free to reach out to the clerk's office or myself, and we can definitely help you out with it, so.
Yeah, the reply always not your friend.
Yes.
Right.
So, great.
And we'll,
Will the fire department be here next meeting, part of the agenda?
we will reach
I
out
will
to
see
them.
to it that that happens.
Yes. Okay, make a motion to,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all right, we're adjourned.
Thank you all.
And then there's some candy here for you guys.
Oh, gosh, I wondered if you brought any.